Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. My name is George, your online finance guy. And today we're going to speak about why 70% of adult Kenyans own homes, but yet are relatively poor. According to the UN Habitat survey on home ownerships across the world, Kenyan adults, 75% of Kenyan adults own a home. This is only second to Egypt, where home ownerships are higher. So Kenya, across Africa, is a second highest, has the second highest home ownership across the continent. And across the world, it has higher home ownership rates. In fact, the only place in Europe that the only places in Europe that supersede Kenya are Romania and Bulgaria. The others, Kenyans own more homes. So why is it that Kenyan own more homes than, say, Europeans, but yet are poorer? And we're going to talk about this. The first reason is most of these homes are actually located in rural areas. Most people live in the town centers, but they own majority of these homes in the rural areas. So you have a home, yet you only live in it for, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a whole year. This is a house that you have paid for, you have invested in, but you do not live in this house. So you do not experience the financial benefits of reduced rent. The only reason that most people build homes is to be able to reduce on the rent. But majority of our homes are actually located in the rural areas. So they tend not to have any financial impact on our own incomes. So this brings the second topic, and that which is dead capital. You have invested a lot of money. You have built this home, and you're not really actualizing the financial benefits. The financial benefits could be reduced rent. The actual benefits could be maybe passive income. So most of the homes that we own are actually our own personal properties. And when they are own personal properties, they do not generate any additional income. The most they can do is be able to save on rent. And we have seen majority of these homes are actually in the rural areas. So the ones that we actually live in, and even those ones that we actually live in for 2 weeks in a whole year, actually provide a lot of dead capital. So you have a home, yet you could have invested this money in an more economically viable, sustainable solution. If you took, say, the 5 million that you invested in a home and invested in a business or invested in something that is going to actualize financial benefits, then it brings financial benefit to you. But all you have is a store of value does not have incremental value. Actually, where an economy has 100% home ownership, as it goes towards 100% home ownership, you end up having a lot of debt capital, especially in our part of the world where most homes are actually owned. When you hear Americans speak about I own a home, majority are actually saying that I am paying mortgage for a house. But when you talk about owning home in our part of the world, most likely it's already paid for or will be paid for in 2, 3, or 4 years. So majority of our homes are actually owned. So this is capital that we have put in hard brick and mortar investments that may not actualize or be able to generate value. The other thing is majority of these homes, especially the homes that we are talking about, the rural homes, are actually losing value in the sense that you are incurring additional money from your pocket to maintain these homes. Part of the world has a lot of glorification on how big your house is, how magnificent the roof is, how wonderful the tiles are. We tend to move away from what a house should be able to do, which is provide shelter, to how how a house can be able to bring us to look more important or more successful. So we end up investing in much more expensive looking house and in expensive furniture and in expensive this and that. We end up incurring higher costs because the higher or more expensive or luxurious looking the item, the more you incur more in terms of maintenance costs. Majority of us, because we have put all our money in a house, we don't have any passive income. I talked to several people who are entering into retirement, and majority of them, their biggest regret Their biggest regret is they have a home, but they do not have passive income. Remember, when you're growing hungry, despite having a big house, if you're growing hungry, if you have hunger, you cannot satisfy it with a big house. So majority of the regrets of people who are entering into retirement is they spend a lot of their money in a physical home. Yes, you got yourself a physical home, but yet a lot of the time you did not think about passive income. So you have a home, but you have no income that is coming. And as you enter into old age, your biggest desire is cash flow. You'd rather have a lot of cash that you can be able to use some to pay rent than have a big house and no cash. This is because when you have no physical cash, yet you're becoming older and cannot be able to work or have to work a lot less hours, or you have actually retired, you need more of this cash flow and these big assets. Majority of the people who enter into retirement have a lot of chunks of land, but unless you have actively done something on the land to produce you an income, you are actually losing value. You have a lot of wealth in terms of assets, but you have zero cash flow. Cash flow is the biggest king when you're entering into retirement. When you have actually to pay bills, it's unfortunate when you have to pay bills like hospital bills and such, and have to liquidate an asset. You have to sell a property. You sell a property to pay for a basic need. You end up being desperate at the point of sale. You end up selling something a lot cheaper than you actually could have. This simply because you are desperate to pay for something that needs to be paid for now. The other challenge, of course, comes with visible wealth. Whenever you are seen to be visibly wealthy, whenever people see items that you have, they think that you are richer. They think that you have a lot more in your pocket. So end up having social pressure. People start inviting you for their social gatherings, harambes, and all these money giving engagements. People want you to educate their children. All of a sudden, your uncle's cousin wants you to educate their children simply because now you have a big home. You look like you are wealthy. And I'm not saying don't support, but the pressure continues just because people can be able to feasibly see a house. You have the biggest house in the village. So everyone who wants some sort of funding and contribution will come to you with a card. They will even send it to you if you are living in Nairobi and have to travel. Can even send that card simply because you are the first person they see a visible sign of wealth. So all these factors mean that we may be asset rich, but our economy is not generating incomes. You realize that the economies where people are doing well off is where money is changing over, changing over. Money is not stagnant. And that is the other challenge with a home. Your money is stagnant. And the more you learn how to change over money, get money, give money, invest money, receive money, invest again, the way more money moves around you and is turned over at a profit, the more you become wealthy. That is the trick about money. But our wealth in assets and in a home is not moving as quickly. So when it is not moving as quickly, we have stagnant capital, we have stagnant wealth. We do not have money that is changing over. When money is changing over and changing over, it can also be able to take care of inflationary pressure that is coming in a part of the world. This is because you are earning an interest that is adjusted for inflation, and so you're able to earn a lot more in terms of money. The only advantage of having majority of our wealth in assets is because as you are not changing over or doing a lot of transaction, your tax liability goes down. This is because the only time that you're going to incur tax liability is when you are offloading these assets. But as long as you're not offloading these assets, you do not incur any tax advantages or disadvantages. This again also brings our part of the world generating a lot less in terms of taxes. This is because majority of our money is in a fixed assets that is not being sold, is not being done anything as quickly. So the government cannot be able to collect as much money. This is because we are not buying shares, we are not buying this, we are not investing in this, we are not paying taxes because of incomes that are generated from investments, because our Houses are dormant, so the government cannot also collect more. So the stagnancy moves from just us and our personal wealth to the sovereign wealth of our country. I hope you're learning, you're growing, and you're becoming financially you're becoming financially aware. Do not put all your money in a house. It is good for security, but is not good for financial wellness. Cash flow. Remember, as you grow older, cash flow is king. What is going to pay you without having to put the time and effort may not be able to do in your adult age? Thank you and enjoy your day.